Grab your cups. There's gonna be tea. Wow. What's up, rebels? My name's Lily.
My name is Leo.
I'm from the UK.
I'm from the US.
We are a couple.
We are queer.
Yes, queen.
And we out here.
here.
Ba-ba-ba-ba.
Today, we are going to be treading some dangerous waters.
We volunteer as sitting ducks to shed light on the most toxic subreddit ever.
We encourage any views to be shared within our comment section of this video.
But we ask rebels and anybody with differing opinions to keep it respectful because
This is a safe space.
So without further ado, let's get into it.
Gay agenda. Gay agenda. Gay agenda.
Welcome to Truscum, a respectful place for those who have been cast out of mainstream trans subreddits. Men, women and non-binary people, trans and cis, Truscum and Truscue, too hard to say, are welcome as long as you show the respect that everyone deserves.
So before we properly get into this topic, we're going to start off with some definitions that we're going to be putting on the screen for you guys so that we're all on the same baseline. Too cute. Someone who believes that gender dysphoria is not necessary to be transgender.
And true scum, a queer individual that holds the belief that you require gender dysphoria to identify as transgender. Now, as generic definitions, none of these cause major offence and can both be validated as belief systems. So we aren't here to do a whole transmedicalists are bad or liberals are great. That would be ridiculous.
We are here today to tackle the escalation and toxicity of this subreddit. It may have been created with good intentions at the beginning, but objectively it has gone far past any of that.
Truscum is a subreddit with over 30,000 members and it continues to gain popularity.
Like most subreddits, it was created so that people who share the same views and opinions could share their thoughts in a safe space.
So why are we calling it toxic?
Unfortunately, many members of the subreddit use it to criticize and very much dictate the way that people can be trans, and they often are found to be bullying trans individuals based on their lack of ability to fit into gender stereotypes or fit a binary or just their version of what true trans people are.
Victims of this subreddit group include people like Noah Fins, Jamie Dodger, I call him both, Jamie Dodger, Brennan, Leo after this video, literally any other trans / queer content creator that doesn't follow these ideologies, even the lovely Az Butler.
Let me say I'm the biggest hater. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress. I hate the way...
We love you, Ezra. There is a really toxic belief system within the subreddit, and it's that you can't be a trans guy and be feminine or be a trans woman and be masculine. And of course, these definitions of masculine and feminine are very much subjective and catered to the views of the people in this particular subreddit.
I find that really interesting because I'm a cis woman who at times presents very masculine and I have never had anyone gatekeep me. So I find it interesting that they're gatekeeping each other. Like, why are you fighting for things that allow you to have less equality than I do? I'm going to wear exactly what I want. Butch queens exist, femme gays exist, like...
Why? Why?
When did this happen and why are you gatekeeping yourself so much? It's a shame.
Imagine gatekeeping your own rights. I mean, they really said, we want equality. Wait, no, not all of it. No.
We only want some. A little bit of freedom. Basically, it's a space for the community to make fun of trans people. And the reason why I say the community and not just trans people, because LGBT alliances are there. Cis people are definitely in that group, and I think it's important that I'm also here to call out people who also align with those beliefs and are making the space really unbearable for content creators and just trans people who don't fit their ideologies in general.
Now, like I said, this group has very particular ways to police gender and gender expression and gender identities. So basically, if you have long hair, you are a transgender.
If you don't have every surgery, despite us being in a literal economical crisis right now, you are a trender.
Basically, if you are not a binary trans person, you guessed it, you're a trender.
Being Truscum isn't an objectively bad thing, but why do so many people in this subreddit write things like this? Why does every too cute follow exactly the same pattern of taste and personality? Cute boy, ooh. Cute colourful hair with a BTS or emo style haircut, fan or cave towel and ultra feminine mannerisms in public, and then get mad when someone gets the pronoun wrong. Haha! What disgusts me most is that if you're a trans teen, you are automatically associated with one of these cute, soft, too cute boys in the LGBTQ community. I tried to fit in because I didn't meet many trans men my age who aren't like that. I feel bad for feeling this way, but I feel really angry about this, seeing everyone acting like girls without any dysphoria. Worse are those who publish news on 18+ sites showing off their breasts and a whole feminine ensemble. They still call themselves femboy, titboy, and other disgusting, while presenting themselves totally as only alt women. I feel disgusting just being associated with this. I definitely want to HT and go stealth ASAP and never be associated with this community again.
Bye, Felicia.
Boy is stressed.
Or post like this. OMFG. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. I'm gonna throw up.
There are thousands of posts like that targeting trans people who are just trying to live their best lives.
There's also a trend within the subreddit of using transmedicalism to invalidate trans people, particularly non-binary trans individuals and people who don't fit the gender binary spectrum. This subreddit is basically known for misgendering, mocking, and belittling and laughing at trans people.
Despite the first rule of the group being absolutely no transphobia, including but not limited to intentional misgendering.
The mods are either on holiday
Or simply don't give a shit.
Let's get into our topic points and see what more we can dissect about this issue.
Grab your cups. There's gonna be tea.
Question number 1 for today's discussion is, how does a group like this gain so much popularity in the LGBTQ community?
Oh, I think this is why I'm here, right? You're like, well, why are you here? You're not trans. I think it's partially to do with the LGB Alliance as well. I think they play a huge part in that Reddit thread, which is why I think it's really important to stress that it's not just trans people who populate this group. There are other people as well who are pushing these ideologies across. I think groups like this gain popularity because it's human instinct to compete and it's human instinct to divide, unfortunately, and categorize. And so within the category, you know, we know that LGBT right now, trans people need our help. And there are some people, I believe, within this Truscum community who feel like there are trans people who are, you know, non-binary, who don't necessarily fit the mold, who are slowing down progress. And so it's throw them off the ship so we can get there faster and we can row there faster, that's it. Row there faster. I think that's what it is. I think that's why it's gaining popularity.
I think you made a very good point pointing out things like the LGBT Alliance and those sorts of trans exclusionary views and groups. They definitely do flock to spaces like this online. And, you know, it's like you said, it's just divisiveness within our community. It's, you know, that sort of succumbing to fear-mongering from the oppressors of, you know, trying to say, well, I'm one of the good gays, I'm not one of the trans people, you can leave me out of that, we're not like that, so we're more on the same level, you know, it's trying to put yourself in the same playing field as your oppressor. And,
which you're not.
Yeah, which you're very much not. And as you're doing that, you're kicking other people in your community and tripping them to the ground in order to get there.
Yeah. Can I just quickly clarify that when I say which you're not, I don't mean you are not as equal as your oppressor. I'm saying is they don't see you the same.
Yeah.
You're not. There's not cool trans and bad trans. Like Blair White, however much she wants to sell her soul for the internet, ultimately what people say behind closed doors are probably the same things that they say behind to anyone who's part of the Q. I hate that term, too cute. Who made that up? Who, you know, people who aren't medicalists, and they probably say the same thing about them. That's just the reality of the situation. When it comes down to it, is you are part of one community, so the dividing and the creating rules to gatekeep and this isn't good enough, your hair's too long to be in this, and you know you're too masculine to be here. It's ridiculous. Like ultimately a transition is a transition, so through all this process, regardless of whether you're Truscum or not, because I'm not going to even bother to try and say the other one, there is a process, and throughout this process, if you decide to actually take HRT, you are going to physically look like every single one of these things that you are also being mean to.
Yeah.
You're going to be one of those stages at some point. You're not going to just take HRT and turn into what you think and what you consider to be an acceptable trans person. You have a whole process, and through that process, you also deserve respect. You deserve to be called your correct pronouns. Don't sell yourself short like that. And I mean, I'm a cis person. I don't want to sound condescending in any way, but I got to speak out to the LGBT community, so I can speak directly to my peeps. Like, what is this about? Like, this pushing of the trans community away from the LGBTQ plus community in general. I don't know what you think it's going to do. Like, no war ever said, let's get rid of fighters. Like, what? Let's go in there alone. Why are we getting rid of fighters?
Trans people to the front. Trans people to the front.
Like, I don't get it. It's so silly. Like, only together will we honestly, truly, rise. I truly believe that, and I don't get the divisiveness. But you are trans, so sorry to put this on your shoulders, but how do you feel about this? Because I think it's more important to hear your voice.
Honestly, I think that it's pick-me behavior. I honestly feel like a lot of the people, particularly a lot of the trans people that are in these communities, are just sort of playing into the transphobia that already plagues their lives and trying to distance themselves from it in some way by feeding into it more. It doesn't make any sense to me, and it feels very much like in the same vein of like trans conservatives that often like to go into public forums and talk about their conservative views that ultimately harm themselves and their own community.
I think that's a very valid point. I think it's interesting because for me, I don't think any of them as different definitions. I'm not trans, so I can't belong to any trans community in that sort of way. I can only be an ally, and be someone with a trans person. That's as far as I go. And so I don't want to step on toes, but I do have to speak quite passionately about this when I say I find it so disheartening to see members of the trans community themselves gatekeep other trans people. I think that's so disappointing. It's so sad. And I recently saw a post, which, if I can remember, I'll try to put it in. Someone said, why are we being so mean to trans people in this group? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It's almost like the moderators aren't even trans. Like, it feels like this is a whole catfish mission, and they're not even trans. They're people who just hate trans people, and they're like, let's get them to fight. And everyone else went, like, literally, I can't believe this is happening from actual, like, can you imagine me being there like, oh, I'm going to create a subreddit for these type of blacks. Like, you guys can't sit with us. How embarrassing. We got a whole racism to deal with. You got transphobia to deal with. Chill, child.
Yeah.
This is not the hill you want to die on. Go fight transphobes. Don't fight each other.
Exactly. It's a mess. It's a mess. And it's just ridiculous. It's like, first of all, learn your history, because the definition of transness and like the existence of transness is without the binary of male and female and sex orientation and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's proof that that doesn't exist in a binary one or the other form. So why would you then continue to use a hateful and harmful binary to then police your own people and in turn yourself? And I think honestly a lot of transmedicalism views stem from that sort of hatred that we have experienced as trans people and as a trans community as a whole, of, the cis-het world not really understanding transness and therefore trying to put limiting terms and understandings and very dumbed down definitions of what it means to be trans so that they can understand it better. So now in turn, some people within the community are adopting that understanding of transness and trying to push it even further to be more palatable to the cis-het people that they're trying to sit at the table with. I don't know.
It feels like internalized.
Yeah.
It's definitely, there's a lot of internalized transphobia there to just choose to be a dick to someone in your own community. Like, surely, that there has to be. There is no logical reason for it. It's not just, oh, they're trenders or you're traitors. No, you physically cannot tell someone who they are. They can tell you who they are, and you can choose to either listen or disrespect them. Those are the two options. By choosing to like not listen, you are automatically disrespecting them. That's the way I see it. Like, because wouldn't it be the same as a cis person just saying, well, I don't believe you're trans enough? Like, what happens when someone decides that there are new rules for what it means to be trans and suddenly Truscum isn't enough? Like,
exactly.
How far do we go?
Exactly. I think there's a lot of just ignorance that comes across as a bit delusional sometimes in that subreddit, where it doesn't make sense to me. Because like you said, like, if they're gonna turn on the other trans people, they will eventually turn on you.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our next point.
Okay. Do you believe that you need dysphoria to be trans?
Ooh.
So, yeah.
Interesting. This is a big discussion, and it causes a lot of controversy. And I think part of it stems from the fact that it's hard to even define what dysphoria is and how it presents and how it's presented, how it feels, how you experience dysphoria. It can differ from person to person, location to location, country to country, experience to experience. We're all individuals, and those things can feel different in different people.
That's a really good point, because like if we think about like girl, boy, in different cultures, girl, boy may be raised different. Like, are we talking about a Western perspective? Because in some countries it's not the same. So someone might feel dysphoria for a completely different reason. Someone might feel dysphoria for a reason that might not be culturally understandable to someone from a Western world. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how do we placate all of that?
Yeah.
How do you encompass everybody's individuality and everybody's own individual experiences, and how, gender is perceived throughout the whole world, or sex is perceived throughout the whole world? Like, is it just the Americans are right, or the Brits are right, or the Western world right? Do we say boo to everyone else who has different ideology? There are lots of cultures where, lots of tribal cultures in Africa where dressing feminine as a man is seen as powerful. What are you guys trying to say here? Like, why is it such an issue? Like, and it just feels very Western. It feels like, leave your house a little bit, travel the world. This isn't new.
It's very whitewashed. It's very based in colonial definitions of the gender binary and their version of the like requirements for certain gender types. So like, because I think you brought up a really, really great point of like tribal communities, traditional communities that have and always have included non-binary or gender expansive language and identities within their communities.
It's not new.
No, I mean, like, even
might be to the Western world, but it's know your history. There are people who existed before you. There are other countries and other worlds and other cultures that dress like this, and this is completely fine. So how does your viewpoint encompass everybody? Or does it just encompass a certain amount of people who look a certain type of way, which in itself is ridiculous? That's not a good standpoint to make on anything. Yeah,
there's no real way to police bodies and minds and expression because it's all individualized. And although there are commonalities and there's ways to find common ground and community within certain groups or, between people, the ultimate thing is that everyone is different. You can't have a rule that dictates every single person for all of eternity, And I think even with some things that are like assigned gender expression to them, things like long hair or certain features,
like Sikhs.
Yeah.
Long hair. Like in the Bible, Samson, long hair was a sign of strength. Sikhs don't cut their hair. Men don't cut their hair. When do we I just think it's so, there's so much Eurocentricness towards Truscum.
Very
that's
much.
So just say you're white and trans and you want to look like this and want to look like that, and that's fine. Live your best life, but let other people do what they want to do with theirs, because other people have different lives, different cultures, different understandings, different upbringings, different experiences that collate and create a version of themselves that they are proud of, and you have no right to take that away. You being who you are is perfectly fine, and this video isn't telling you you're not allowed to be Truscum. As I said, objectively, not a bad definition, but just the way we perceive those definitions and how we push them across to other people, I think that's really important. I think we need to actively do better.
Yeah.
The whole community. This is not trans people, the LGBTQ community, because LGB Alliance, I'm here to call you lot out. The fuck!
That's the definition of stepping on each other to get to the top. I mean, like the blatant targeting and othering of trans people by groups like the LGB Alliance is just so it's so embarrassing, because do you forget that trans women fought for gay rights? Do you forget that trans women and trans men were often the people that were at the bedsides of gay men who were dying of AIDS? Do you forget your history? Because you can open a book. You can watch a documentary, sis. They got them on Netflix.
You're like, Paramount.
Yeah.
No, but for real. But okay, just to bring it back a little bit before we end this, do you think you need dysphoria to be trans?
I think that in order to be a trans person, you need to feel like you are a trans person, and you need to identify with the trans experience in whatever ways you identify with that and however that resonates for you.
Yeah.
I think there's no way to say that you need to tick X, Y, and Z boxes in order to say, yes, I am trans, or no, I'm not trans. You are able to dictate that for yourself because you are the only person who is going to live your life. No one else is going to live it for you. And you have the right to dictate how you want to live your life in your own body, in your own spirit, in your own home.
Period. I love that. I think that's a really lovely way to end this, actually. I do just want to quickly just say that not everybody who uses this group or frequents this group or passes through this group is, you know, this isn't a target to everyone who does. It's unfortunately just the majority right now. Hopefully this video allows the moderators to relook what's happening or come back from the holiday they've been on for 7 years. You know what I mean? All right, well, we love you guys very much. We want to thank you again for 1,500 subscribers. It means a lot to us. It's really, really sweet. Drink water.
Eat fruits.
Bye.
Bye.